Welcome back to The Bible is Art, where we explore the literary artistry of the Bible. And this week, we are looking at tension, because every story has it. And we're going to see how our author introduces it in the second sentence of the Bible. You may be thinking to yourself, I thought the tension came in with Adam and Eve eating from the tree in the garden. And that's true, that's the major tension, but there's a minor tension. And that comes in the second verse of the Bible in Genesis chapter 1. Last week we saw how in the first verse, our narrator introduces the main character, God, and his first action, creating the heavens and the earth. And in the second verse, our narrator focuses our attention on that second of the pairing, heaven and earth. He focuses our attention on the earth. This is what he says. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Notice, he does not say, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and the heavens, ... No, we are focused in on the earth and the action that happens there. Why? Well, because that's going to be the main location of the story. This is where the action is going to happen, both in Genesis and in the rest of the grand story. We get to poke our heads into heaven sometimes, but it's only rarely. Earth. We are earthbound people. Now, the author tells us 3 points of tension, 3 incompletenesses. I'm not sure what the best description is. 3 things about the earth that need to change. And those are, it is formless. It doesn't have the landscape doesn't have good architecture for living beings. It's empty, and it's dark. Now, when we are looking at something that is very familiar to us, we have to have tools by which we can enter into it anew, that we can see the thing with fresh eyes, because often if we know it very well, we think we know what's going on when really we are just sliding over all the particularities that are there. And one of those tools that you can do is by asking, what didn't the author say? Or to put it another way, what could the author have said but didn't? So let's try this out on our text. Our author could have said, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth did not yet have water. No, he didn't say that. He could have, at some point in the process of creation, it didn't have water, but no, we want to stop after the water and pick up the story from there. Or our author could have said, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, but the earth did not yet revolve around the sun. No, he didn't say that either. You see, he points out, he stops, he slows down the narrative at the point where we have these 3 problems to deal with. That is, formlessness, emptiness, and darkness. So then the great question is, why these 3 problems? The author has chosen these 3 problems because in the 6 days of creation, these are the problems that our main character will solve. These are the problems that he will fix. Okay, well, that's a partial answer. But the fuller answer is this. This is because Genesis 1 is like an operatic overture. That is, in an opera, you have this overture, which is all the main musical themes in the whole work. So you get a preview, you get a taste, you get ready for all of these great songs. This also happens in Shakespeare. Shakespeare uses this technique as well. For instance, in Romeo and Juliet, in the first time Romeo and Juliet meet in Act 2, Shakespeare has positioned Romeo on the ground and Juliet in the balcony. That is, they are separated by some space. Juliet is above, Romeo is below. And Romeo starts out in those words, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun." And they go on, they compose in a perfect emblem of love. They compose with their each of their words a sonnet. And then the nurse from inside the house calls Juliet to come back in. And she does this right when Juliet is talking about the infiniteness of her love. In a masterful, masterful piece of art, what Shakespeare is doing is he encapsulates the whole play in this one scene. That is, the whole play is about the inability of this perfect love to happen because of this family and their names, and they demand these things of these two lovers. And this is shown emblematically by the nurse calling Juliet back into the house, and this infinite love is interrupted in their first meeting. So their beginning is, so will their end be. They want so badly to cross that space to be together, but the demands of the family will not allow them. And Genesis 1 works the same way. You have the whole story of the Bible and of Genesis encapsulated in this one chapter. So where does this leave us? Let's briefly look at the 3 points of tension and where our author leaves us, where our author sets us up before the creation week begins. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Those 2 points of tension, those first 2 points of tension, are an exquisite Hebrew word pairing. It sounds like this: the earth was tohu vavohu. And they are exquisite because both in their sound and in their structure, they denote what they actually mean. That is to say, they're trying to communicate formlessness, and they sound almost the same. That is, their form is unable to distinguish them from one another, which is precisely the state of the earth. So it is formless, it is empty, and it is dark. But the Spirit of God is hovering over the face of the waters. The Spirit of God, or the wind of God, or the breath of God, don't choose between them. He intends all of them. The Spirit of God is poised. Poised to do what? He is poised in the darkness to fix these problems in the creation week. And we will see this starting with day 1 next week.